everybody, this is Jim from Jim's Holiest of Coleus. How's everybody doing? I'm spending some time in my greenhouse, and I figured, you know what, let me shoot a little video and say hello to everybody. And I know I posted a couple of videos this week, and why not? Let's shoot another video. And I cheated. I did say to everybody, hey, I'm gonna do some potting, and we'll do a video on how I pot in another week or so. Well, it's just been such a beautiful couple of days, and I've had some time, and I have plenty of Coleus left to pot, so there's gonna be plenty of time to do a video on potting. So what I'm going to do in this video is, for those of you who are following along, and maybe you grew 50 Coleus or 100, or maybe if you're crazy like me and you grew 500, and you want to do what you want to do with them, I'll give you some ideas on what you could do with your different Coleus. I'm going to keep them. I do keep some of them in these the nursery pots, and I do sell them individually if people want. But again, I love making up these pots. I do it every year. So if you're following along and you want to make yourself up some pots, maybe I can give you some ideas, and you can go out and get some. I get these on the dollar store. There's not too much online. The dollar stores seem to have a really nice selection, either online, Family Dollar, Dollar Tree. I forget which one's where. I believe the Dollar General has the best selection. If you have a Dollar General, they're everywhere here in New Jersey. I got a few of them, but I have a really nice one in town that keeps all these pots. So anyway, if you're going to follow along and maybe you want to make up some new pots, I'm going to do a little help you out here, give you some ideas on what I do every year. And just get back to basics again. We're getting our plants going. We're trimming them. Getting that undergrowth in. Good soil. Good water. Keep an eye out for insects. Making sure the greenhouse is warm and well ventilated. And make sure you use some good quality Miracle-Gro potting soil. And again, I have a selection of pots that I keep in stock, a whole bunch of different ones. Oval, big galvanized ovals, plastics, all different sizes. They're just tremendous. And of course, these are my favorite, these scallop colored plastic pots. Make sure when you get your pots that you drill holes on the bottom. Be gentle, so they don't crack, but make sure you drill at least 2 drain holes on the bottom. You need to make sure your pots are drained. All right. So as you can see, we have plenty potted, and again, pruning is important. So these may not look like much, and that's another reason why I want to shoot this video, because in another 2 weeks, when I do the other video, and hopefully you'll be joining me, we're going to go back and take a look at these. So remember these Coleus. Bookmark this video, and in 2 weeks when we revisit and we do another video, we're going to show you these plants again, and you're going to see how beautifully these fill in. And I may cut these two leaves here. I still may remove them, but this growth's coming in. And I just so I know what kind of plant we got here. But you can see, this is the excitement. I try to look at each Coleus I have and say, hey, you know what? This one's got a little more yellow to it. Let's put it in a yellow pot. This is, there's not many blue Coleus, but this has that striking, bright color. It grabbed my eye. Just immediately I thought about the blue pot. Of course, this with the red was put in a red pot back there. Green, I had some really nice green. Yeah, I had some red, but the green was really rich on that. So let me put it in that green pot, and so on. So you do what you want. They're your plants. Again, I have these. Years ago, I bought a whole bunch. If you look at some of my older videos, I had some oval aluminum galvanized pots. They were a little more compact. They had butterflies and flowers on them. I bought like 500 of them, but I went through all of them. I really like them, but they don't sell them. I don't want, I don't need to buy 5,000. You have to buy 5,000 minimum. So anyway, just to give you some ideas. I like to double up. I like these jitters. I always try to put a jitters in a lot of these double pots. The jitters make really, really nice arrangements. So you can see I have a couple of different jitters going on. And here are the hanging baskets. And I generally, this is an 8-inch plastic hanging basket. So I generally put 3 Coleus, you know, triangulated or what have you, per pot. And I had 112. I really don't like to carry the 12-inch. You can see this one's really doing pretty well. It's gonna really explode in here. And I just potted this yesterday, so it's gonna really, really take off. So, and I always like to do a couple of larger planters, and I usually keep them on the floor. The hanging baskets I'll hang up. I have a hanging rack here, but for the purpose of the video I wanted to put them on the floor. And there's my other one I just did. There's a jitters, more jitters there. There's a jitters. Jitters are great. So if you have a jitters Coleus and you want to make a great hanging basket, I highly recommend using the jitters Coleus. They just look beautiful. They just flow perfectly for hanging baskets. So, but I keep these larger ones on the floor here, and every year they just explode. Wait till you see what this one looks like in 2 weeks time. Just watch. So, and we got these other pots, these nice little plastic colored pots. I have a whole bunch, fabulous up top here. And of course the smaller. And these still have a lot of growing to do. You see I got all that undergrowth coming in. That tells me I'm doing something right. And every year, some plants are a little more stubborn, but they will all eventually start growing some undergrowth. Beautiful. These are really beautiful. Like I mentioned in my other videos, I love these Kongs. The different colors are just beautiful. And again, just going through each one, you can see this is all the fruits of my labor of trimming and pruning. And it's now that they're in the greenhouse here now, we're starting to get some really not hot days, but it's warm in here. It gets to 90s. I put my heater on. It gets nice and warm. I mentioned in my other video about how we had some mornings that dipped into the upper 30s. Last night it was like 40. It was a little chilly out, but it was beautiful in here. I got this nice disc furnace, throws a lot of heat. It keeps it about 80 or 90 in here now. So really, obviously I have it off now. I got the greenhouse partial. I have the door open now. We got a nice breeze coming through. I have the back window closed because I don't want the breeze rifling through here. I want to protect these plants. Plenty of time for that when it gets a little warmer out. When we start getting into summer and we're talking 90, 100 degrees outside, then I have my fan and the door, and both windows will be open, and that'll keep that air moving, especially if it's a very stale day where there's no wind. Then you need to keep your air moving. And I've said this over and over, when you're greenhousing, you need to get that air moving. You want to make sure that insects don't find the bottom of the leaves, and that's where they hang out, on the bottom of the leaves mostly. They'll hang out under there for shade. It's a nice little home. So if you keep the air moving, that sort of acts as a deterrent. Also, before we get into the growing season, I recommend this Safer brand insect killing soap. This is an older bottle. It's like 3 years old, 2 years old. So I just ordered a new one. It's coming tomorrow. It's still good, but it's you know, it's older. So it's natural. It's seaweed extract. It's natural. It still works, but I use that when I see I have insects. So before I close, you can see got all this rich color coming back, even just for the past couple of days. It really, the warm weather, when I close this up, then I get it up nice and toasty in here, 80, 90 degrees. They love this, because remember, that's these are tropical plants, and they're right at home when it's nice and hot. There's a little damage, you can see that, but I didn't cut these. It's got a little bit of little damage from the weather, wind, and from the but I got a lot of undergrowth coming in, so perhaps I'll cut those. I you know, when I take these outside, I put them out on the table, I go through each one, so I may miss one or two. There's a couple here I can argue should be cut, and I'll get to them. Main thing is, especially that one there, because we need some growth. We need to get some growth boosted down below. So, but you can see lots of great color. And again, I had a few people made some comments that they're, you know, they're Coleus also with the weather. They didn't look good. They look like they're dying. They're gone. Just do as I suggest. Cut those leaves. Cut the leaves. Unless your Coleus is, the stem is completely wet, drooped over, dead, clearly dead, your plant's dead. Otherwise, if it's still pretty green, if your stem looks healthy and maybe the leaves are bad, if worst case, if it's really bad, cut it right here and leave a stem. I have plenty. I think I have plenty of Coleus over here. Here's a good example. Here's one here where I just cut the top leaves off altogether. So I have all that growth coming in, and in time it's going to pay off. So again, keep doing what you're doing. Again, another week or two, I'll post a video on actually when and how I arrange, how I make my Coleus arrangements. I'll show you. I ordered about 15 hanging baskets because they do well, and I'll post a video on how I actually make these up. So if you're following along, order up, go to the store if you want to follow along and make up pots along with me. And it could be any kind of pot, doesn't have to be pot like this, any kind of pot. One thing I mentioned to a few people, the bigger your pot, the bigger your Coleus arrangement's gonna go. So if you put Coleus in a big planter, and this is relatively small, but your Coleus is gonna grow. It's gonna take up that space. It's gonna grow. If you leave them in these little planters, these little nursery pots, they'll only get as large as they can, because the root system is so prolific. It's going to take up all of it's just going to, when you pop these out, it's going to take up, you're going to see all roots and less soil. So they really take over the soil, even when they get into big pots like this. So, all right, so in closing, before we go, I highly recommend, this is what I use all through the season. It's a Miracle Grow, all-purpose plant food. It's a water-soluble crystals. If you haven't used this before, you take 2 of these, and this spoon comes with it, and you mix it into a 2.5 gallon water can. Stir it up, mix it up, and I water and I feed all of my Coleus at least every 2 or 3 weeks with it, and it really makes a difference. It really makes a difference. Your Coleus are so much more healthy. You get so much more growth, and they really start to take off. So the combination of the hot, humid weather, properly hardening your Coleus if you're going to bring them outside, and using a Miracle Grow, and also continuing your pruning throughout the season, you're going to have a beautiful Coleus right through fall. So it sounds like a lot of work, but it's not. It's just a systematic thing you do every day. My regular day, my day on a summer day, when my Coleus are all out, all my planters are out, my regular day, I'll come out and I'll take a look at them. They need to be watered. I take a look at them. I water all my plants, and when they come back, if they're drooping or whatever, I'll look through each and every one of them and trim this or that. If I see a couple of dead leaves, I trim them. If I see they're getting a little too tall, I trim them down. I cut any dead or older looking leaves. I look through them, see if they have a lot of undergrowth. So just continue that. That's your regular maintenance for the season. So I'm just getting ahead of myself maybe, but I just want to throw that in. So get yourself some pots, and we'll be shooting another video in a couple of weeks. And again, thanks a lot for everybody for following. Love the comments. I really appreciate it. There's so many people. I'm going to do a video soon and thank a lot of people. I have a lot of regular people who are always asking me questions, and they're very, very respectful, very nice. They really motivate me. So Muhammad from Egypt, you're a great guy. You always give me pointers on things I can do, maybe some subjects that I haven't touched on for future videos. So I always respect and appreciate your comments, and that knowing that someone on the other side of the world is following along. Great friend, thank you very much. Okay, so everybody, thanks a lot for following, and good luck with your Coleus. And again, any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them. If I don't get back to you right away, give me some time. Sometimes I don't get comments right away. I got Instagram questions, Facebook questions, and YouTube. So sometimes I get very busy. So, all right, thanks a lot, everybody. And thanks for watching and following on Jim's Holiest of Coleus.